Hey there, YouTube crew. There's one storm coming, and what's the most important thing with storm prepping? Rest. Rest. Most important thing, because as an endurance athlete, I can tell you with 100% certainty that the preparation for any athletic endeavor is training and rest. If you're not rested, you're toast. You're not rested, you're toasted. So if there's some horrific weather coming your way, don't overexert in the days leading up to the horrific weather. There is definitely a shit show coming to the southern U.S. A massive ice storm. South central U.S., like Arkansas, the whole state's going to be covered. We'll show you forecasts. We'll also talk space weather and so on throughout the day. Thanks for leaving a comment, Fairy Godmother's Dog. We'll cover all user comments, especially relevant ones. And yeah, welcome to the live stream. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Frankly, we're surprised that you've done so. So, because of the state of affairs on social media. Yes, social media. Real social, right? Oh my God, it's so social. I'm just going to carry my shovel with me all day today, wherever I go. Just to remind people that one man and one shovel can make one hell of a difference. So shovel handle's going to just be in the background throughout the day today. Because on Sunday here in eastern US, we're going to get a foot of snow. Yeah, a foot of snow. And we're going to show you why the jet stream's not going to prevent that a little bit later. So that's the variable to watch, folks, is the jet stream. Because the jet stream is what drives major weather systems from west to east. And basically, since the jet stream is going to stay far enough north, the cold air from Canada is not going to block the weather as a cold, dry air blocking feature. It's going to instead create a proper mix of warm, moist air coming in from the south and cold, dry air coming in from Canada, creating what amounts to an atmospheric waterfall. So we'll cover it, but first we'll talk about the closest star. So there is El Sol. There are the past couple of hours. And while things are relatively quiet in terms of flaring, we do have new complex sunspot groups that we did cover yesterday. So if you missed that live stream, you can check it out. That's the beauty of video on demand. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press subscribe, as you may not see the content in your feed otherwise. I know your feed's broken, everybody's feed's broken, my feed's broken, social media's broken, the internet's broken because of AI slop. Organizations like Microslop and Meta and Twitter have effectively ruined the internet. Oh, and let's don't forget Alphabet, parent company of Google. They are the architects of the destruction of information itself and indeed the internet. So for all of you internet lovers out there, sorry about the casualty that is the internet itself and information itself. But misinformation, disinformation, fraud, and nonsense is definitely at an all-time high. Hopefully you're not a cult member. Let's move on to talk more space weather stats. Let's show the Hux forecast. Oh, let's show the X-ray flux, actually. How about that? Just kidding. I'm not asking. It's a rhetorical question because this is a space weather dictatorship. So there is the past 3 days of, that's the past 3 days of data there from GOES 19 and GOES 18. No intensifications here beyond C-class solar flares. So here's the latest of what the closest star is looking like right now. Let's see. I want to show 304 plus 171. the heck? Why did you change my settings? Okay. If you say so. If you say so. All right, so there is 171 plus 304. What the hell, man? Is it going to load? Well, if HelioViewer.org is down, that's no real surprise, I guess, right? That's fun. Let's actually look at the HMI instrument here. Well, look, this one layer seems to be... Oh, I see. I got to turn this down and turn this one up. There we go. That's how it works. So there's 304 plus 171. And these sunspot groups right in the center of the solar disk right here on either side of the solar equator, they are interesting. These are also interesting over here toward the west heliographic longitudes. And here's the Earth scale just to give you an idea of the size of those active regions. Anyway, let me address your comments here before we talk about cosmic ray flux. Fairy Godmother's dog says, can you spread your unique shiny theory why the storm's so south? I mean, if you mean why is the snow so far south, it's because that's where the cold air is getting to. We're going to show you the jet stream, so you should probably stay tuned for the weather portion. Gates and Zuck. Okay, so Gates doesn't really run Microsloth anymore. Microsloth, otherwise known as Microslop, has a new CEO now, so I don't know why you're saying Gates. Gates has nothing to do with anything. He's probably still on the board of Microsloth, but he's not the CEO, so you should probably blame the figurehead. Stupid people are multiplying stupidity at an exponentially unreal speed, huh? Absolutely, absolutely. And human stupidity is being amplified by machine learning stupidity. Anyway, here's this 4-bush minimum that we forecasted before the CME arrived, that big dip in cosmic ray flux. It's caused by solar plasma, and cosmic ray flux remains at a 20-year low. We haven't seen levels like this since really 22 years ago, in 2004. Here's one of our cosmic ray producers. I follow Cygnus X3. That is a massive X-ray binary located in the Milky Way galaxy. On the other side of the galaxy, sort of, it's about 32,000 light years away. The galactic course, 26,000 light years away, to give you some idea. Next, the Hux forecast. We'll download that real quick. One would hope. This is going to show us if any more CMEs are on the way. So there's the one that struck Earth. That was a big one. Major geomagnetic storms were induced. And since then, bupkis. No new space weather on the way, according to U Reading. That's University of Reading. That's the Hux forecast. Next is the real-time solar wind data measured at Lagrangian point 1, which is way out here, 1,000,000 miles from Earth. The ACE and Discover orbit that gravitational point L1, Lagrangian point 1. Gravitational equilibrium point in between Earth and Sun. Here is the solar wind info. We're going to switch this to the one-day forecast. I mean the one-day data, not forecast. There's the one-day data shown by, that is ACE and Discover. Current conditions are still an elevated solar wind here at 538 kilometers per second or so. Solar wind density here nominal at 1.9 protons per cubic centimeter. The magnetic field here is pretty nominal as well. Total field of 5 nanotesla with a BZ of -1. The geomagnetic storm conditions have subsided, as you'll see here in this geospace magnetosphere movie. The magnetosphere looking pretty normal now once again. That is data from just today. It shows the time and date stamps. I don't know why I'm telling you when I'm showing it on the screen. There are Argos magnetometers, and you're seeing much smoother data there, as you do when there's no geomagnetic storming. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. This is NOAA's forecast for space weather. Forecasting some geomagnetic unrest to continue here because of the persistent coronal hole high-speed stream influence. Don't be surprised to see sporadic solar wind data here because it's a spotty coronal hole. Let's show it by looking at the 195 angstroms wavelength. So this high-speed wind is from coronal holes that are kind of over here, and don't expect big fireworks from this coronal hole high-speed stream. It's not that high speed, and the magnetic fields aren't particularly strong or negative BZ oriented, so don't expect big geomagnetic storming from this. And what in the heck? All right, where was I? 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which is this black line at solon.info, is now at a little uptick in the radio flux there with those new sunspots. Radio flux now approaching 200. So that's interesting. Solar maximum light conditions with a very high sunspot number as well. Sunspot number now still above 150 at 168 sunspots. There it is. 168 sunspots. Let me put coronal holes back up and then address more comments as I see more comments. Don't forget to organize your comments, folks, as live chat so all messages are visible. Once again, thanks to everybody who's left comments. Barb blames the jibs. I have no idea what that means. It's a crescent moon. That is true. He started it. I don't know what that means. Evil. Yeah, the destruction of information and the internet itself is definitely evil. And Google is the evilest corporation in the history of mankind. Besides that, Google is great. It's a real benefit to society. Fairy Godmother's dog says, so it was just a coincidence that we had huge X-class flare and then all the geo-storming and this big weird storm isn't related at all? Not really. Not really. I mean, do you have some kind of physical mechanism that ties Earth weather with geomagnetic storms? I mean, it's these systems are a little more complex than, oh, a flare caused a snowstorm. That's not the way it works. Barb says, not weather modifications either. Yeah, they're definitely not weather modifications, since humans aren't able to create or steer storms. You know, storms are determined by things like the jet stream and where the cold and warm air intersect and where the moisture is in the atmosphere. Humans don't make clouds, folks. Maybe with the exception of contrails and nuclear cooling towers. But humans don't make clouds, so humans don't control the weather in any large-scale capacity at all. We might be able to make it snow here instead of there so that a ski resort gets more business in the ski season. We might be able to make a hailstorm drop hail here instead of there to prevent crop losses. We might be able to make rain fall here instead of there to reduce the implications of droughts in places like Florida, where there are a lot of really science illiterate, stupid people. And indeed, state legislatures all across the country are full of science illiterate, stupid people. because people think that contrails are made intentionally because they don't understand junior high physics or how planes or weather function. That's why people believe in chemtrails and all kinds of other imaginary nonsense. And a lot of idiots on the internet propagate this nonsense. So there's that. All right, so getting back to facts here. Actually, citing more facts. I'm not really getting back to facts, am I? I haven't left facts. All right. So next is coronagraphs. There may be some new CMEs headed this way, and if so, I'll tell you first. So here is today's data and a big chunk of missing data to start the day out. Everybody loves that. A huge chunk of missing data there. I don't know. It's great. I guess it's not. Oh, yeah. It's. I don't know. Something looks very, very sketchy about that. So I'm just going to ignore that and say, I don't see anything. So I guess there's nothing new. Let's look at stereo A. Maybe that has complete data so we can see if there are any more Earth-directed CMEs. That stands for coronal mass ejections, folks, which should not be conflated with solar flares because solar flares are not the same thing as coronal mass ejections. Coronal mass ejections are protons and solar flares are photons. So very, very different phenomena. And it does not look like there is any new ejecta on the way. What the hell? Okay, stereo A's missing data from 1600 yesterday until 3 o'clock this morning. So if there is a new CME on the way, and I doubt there is, that would be when it would be likely to be a thing because missing data. It's super fun. Here is the location of planetary bodies in the solar system. Even non-planets like Pluto represented here. Keep in mind, these things are actually very far apart, and they're really not in very straight of a line at all. So there's that. Next, the ghost proton flux. The last I checked, the proton storm was subsiding, and there you can see dropping below warning levels here. We should be able to see the radio blackouts subsiding as well soon. We'll cover that in a minute. Again, the X-ray flux here is at background C-class levels, which is an uptick in the X-ray flux, but no major flares, not even an M-class intensification since January 21st. Next, we'll show the heliosphere, as Earth is in a South Pole-oriented magnetic sector, shown there in red. If you're wondering where stereo A and B are located, here's stereo B, and over here is stereo A. Next, our line of sight coronal hole plot. We'll just show today. South Pole-oriented coronal holes. And these North Pole-oriented coronal holes are the ones that are still providing a high-speed solar wind. Expect that to subside anytime because these are really close to the limb now. That coronal hole high-speed stream is about to end. The new one from these South Pole-oriented coronal holes is going to be pretty weak. It's not going to produce anything major. We'll be barely likely to see a KP3 from that. If we see a 3.66, I'll be surprised. That would classify as geomagnetic unrest barely. Let's look at the latest of these sunspots here from El Teide. I think that's a pretty good spot. El Teide is good to go. There are the magnetograms from the ground-based. Magnetogram. And yeah, these, I mean, there is some magnetic complexity in various sunspots here, but nothing real major. Areas to watch would be right here, this group up here, and this sunspot group over here. A little bit of magnetic shear down here as well. There probably still is interacting plasma between these two regions. Let's take a look at that. We'll go back to the GOES. I goes back to the GOES. Let's take a look at the interacting plasma filaments that are crossing the solar equator right now. And that is this area right over here. You'll see that there are magnetic filaments that are connecting these active regions here, which doesn't mean doomsday or anything like that. It just means that the likelihood of that plasma becoming unstable and ejecting is higher. It may even increase the probability of solar flares, but that is sort of up for debate. Let's put your chats back on the screen as I see more. Barbarian 1111 says BlackRock number 2. I don't know what that means. It's incoherent. Fairy Godmother's dog says, well, I have a formula, and it has nothing to do with 5G, says Barbarian 1111. Then Fairy Godmother's dog says, no, the Earth has an old geographic circuit when the pyramids used to sit on the pole. You know, the one in Alaska and the one in Antarctica that weren't really there. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up. Oh, somebody took back their thumbs up. Hopefully they changed it to a thumbs down, because I definitely don't care. I definitely don't care. And if you don't like what I've said, make sure you unsubscribe from the channel so you don't see the content in your feed. Because if so, that's on you. Here is the red light imagery, and that's what did we say, 168 sunspots? Please focus. Oh my gosh, autofocus fail of doom. Nice. Wow. It's an AI-powered camera, folks. Look at how good it works. Thanks, AI. You're doing a fine job. Absolutely idiotic. You are not intelligent. Maybe it'll show this one clearly without focusing constantly. That would be nice. This is the hydrogen alpha imagery. Yay, the autofocus debacle has ended. Congratulations, folks. It's a brave new world, folks. It's an AI utopia coming. Right after they create a smartphone app that functions without bugs. So there's hydrogen alpha, and there are a number of filaments. They aren't particularly huge. This one could use a name. I mean, I wouldn't mind naming this one. Maybe we'll call that one the Marjorie Taylor Greene filament. Or what about the Tim Cook filament, right? Or how about this? We'll call it the Sundar Pichai filament. What do you say? If you want to name filaments, follow us over on X, otherwise known by sane people as Twitter. You know, an actual brand. Yeah, an actual brand. Twitter. It's a thing. Unlike X, which can never be a brand because it's a fucking letter. Like, here's a question to ask yourself and everybody else. How can Elon Musk be so many brands and be such an ignoramus about branding? A letter can't be a brand. Ask the U.S. Patent and Copyright Office if you think I'm incorrect on this. It's an objective fact. Anyway, if you want to name plasma filaments, like let's say you want to name this one, right? Here's how you do it. There we go. Copy the image. Actually, better yet, let's do this like the complete guerrilla technique way. Take a screenshot by pressing Shift Windows key S, which brings up this like paintbrush light junkware. If you click on the notification default settings, and then I'm just going to put an arrow at this. There we go. Now I'm just going to take another screenshot. And then I'm going to go over on X, known to sane people as Twitter. And I'm just going to log in. You don't want to see any of that. That is the publicly accessible email address, by the way, which is listed on the homepage at smashomash.com, along with the Discord chat, the IP phone, and all kinds of other ways to contact the channel. Smashomash.com. Allow me to place it in the chat so it's one easy click away, because I know typing in a URL is far too hard in 2026. So I'll type that in and pin the comment. And don't forget to press the share button. You'll find our social media on the homepage as well as links to the Redbubble shop, where you can find merch, and you can join the Croissant Earth Society, or perhaps the Galactic Federation Special Forces. And tell your friends and foes, Universum Liberate. So anyway, this is how you name that filament. You just type in the hashtag name that filament, who you want to name it after. We're going to name it Sundar Pichai, quote, pioneer in, quote, AI. So there you go. And then press paste, and there you go. We've named a plasma filament after a, quote, pioneer and, quote, in absolutely idiotic technology, a solution searching for a problem. Thanks, Sundar. You're doing a fine job. We hope your bonus this year is $224 trillion instead of only 224 million like you got in 2024. Fine job, Sundar. A fine job. Let us know when you create one single bug-free smartphone app. Thanks. Thanks, Sundar, the fall guy of Google. Yeah, we know Alex. We know that Sergey Brin, Larry Page, and Eric Schmidt still run Google, and that Sundar Pichai is nothing more than the fall guy. Eric Schmidt lives in Cyprus, which has no extradition treaties, by the way. Yeah, he lives in Cyprus, which has no U.S. extradition treaties. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Anyway, here's a total electron content forecast. Since we showed the GOES electron flux, this measures the electrons at the F layer. This is showing all the free ions from your GPS satellite down to your handset. Expect rather poor performance from your GPS handset, especially around the equator at noon, as the electron storm is slated to continue. So expect to see these levels of electron flux here rise back into the warning levels in the coming 12 to 48 hours. Here's the deabsorption region data. The deabsorption predictions, I should say. And this is going to show you where the radio blackouts are still going on, mainly at the South Pole, largely subsiding at the North Pole. That is a result of the proton event. The GOES proton flux, you can monitor that in near real time, but there is the forecast for radio blackouts. Southern polar region has nearly complete high-frequency radio blackouts moving forward. And that was a forecast, by the way, as well. These proton events, they sometimes last up to around 10 days when they are extreme ones. This one is not that extreme. This is sort of a moderate proton event. Expect slightly elevated levels of radiation for astronauts and for polar flights. Thanks for leaving comments. Bruce, welcome to the live stream. To all of our regular viewers, some people have been viewing these videos for like 7 years now. It's only the world's most comprehensive daily space weather content, and we throw in weather just as a value-added service. This is just a diagram of the ionosphere, folks. It's showing you where the F region is. Since we talked about it, daytime and nighttime, it varies in altitude. Feel free to pause the video on that frame if it matters. Here's the ionosphere, and there's the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. We're going to largely skip that and transition to Earth weather, because Earth weather is a big story. The U.S. is going to be involved in what I would like to call, what in colloquial terms we would call a shit show. A shit show, especially the state of Arkansas, large portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and other Gulf states. They're going to get plastered. Texas is going to see like 18 hours of freezing rainfall, and it's going to be a mess. So, to preface that, here's the sun rising today over the Atlantic. We're going to put your chats back on the screen, so if you've got more comments, leave them. And maybe you'd like to pick up some merch to support the channel, to increase the probability that it will continue to exist. That's a possibility. Although it's not for sure. In the world of misinformation, disinformation, nonsense, fraud, grifting, cults, and other crap on the internet. Look, you can save a bunch of money by spinning the wheel. And hopefully, you're not an imbecile. Don't be an imbecile. Well, yeah, it's an adjective as well. You weren't aware? Well, now you know. You're welcome. Next, the water vapor animation for the U.S. as the shit show begins to move into Texas. It's going to be a mess. There will be widespread power outages and all kinds of other disastrous things from the ice storm especially, but we're going to get a foot of snow here in eastern PA. Yeah, a foot of snow coming to Lehigh Valley. And we've already got snow on the ground, so it's going to be bonkers. So here you can see the precipitation here moving in across Arizona and New Mexico. That's the radar map from radar.weather.gov. It shows vertical motion in the air column. And while I have that on screen, how about if I put your chats back up? By the way, folks, if you just say a buzzword, if you just say quantum energy, if you say stuff like that, congratulations, you know a word. Do you know what the word means? That's the real question. People do this constantly on the internet. You go, that's not cloud seeding. That's not geoengineering. That's not anything like that. That's contrails. And then they say, put Operation Popeye. It's like you don't win an argument by saying a buzzword, folks. So there's that. Itchy Fingers thinks the earth is flat. Let's correct you there, Itchy Fingers. You should probably know in viewing this channel that earth is shaped like the French breakfast pastry, a croissant. When will you stop believing NASA's lies and propagating this flat earth nonsense? Earth is definitely shaped like a croissant. So get serious. It's not a snow globe. It's not a pizza. It's not an oblate spheroid like Neil deGrasse Tyson says. Bruce Manasse thinks it's donut shaped. And that's actually kind of accurate because, well, magnets. But anyway, Itchy Fingers says, flat earth is the only thing that makes sense if you take lying man out of the equation. Okay. Like you can't see curvature by looking at simple photographs? Dude. Dan disagrees. He says it's croissant shaped. That's right. Damn straight. Croissant earth. Stop believing NASA's lies. Join the Croissant Earth Society. And get serious about science. Congratulations if you believe that. If you believe what everybody else believes, you're just a sheep like the rest. Okay. Non-believer in the real shape of the croissant-shaped earth. Duh. All right, anyway. So let's look at temperatures here on the Witty.com map. It's quite cold in Pennsylvania at the moment. Refresh you. It's refreshing to press refresh. Showing up as 23 degrees at Allentown Airport. Allentown Bethlehem Easton International Airport. ABE International Airport. 23 degrees right now on their thermometer. And what the f is going on with your map, Windy? Let's look at pressure. And their map is shattered. I guess we've got instruments that are down. So now Windy.com can't even see. Look at this. Wow. Okay, the satellite data is there. That's something. Let's get rid of the radar and just show the raw satellite. It's fantastic. There you go. There is the sun falling on the eastern U.S. Red sky and morning. Sailor, take warning. We're going to skip lightning today, but I keep it there because all you sons of bitturns might need to know where the lightning is at some point. And let's go to Tropical Tidbits to show the forecasts. Now, I said yesterday and I think 2 days ago that what's going to determine how this storm plays out is the jet stream. So this is going to show you the 250 millibar winds, which is in effect the jet stream. And oh, it's going to function. I know it's going to function. There we go. Thank you so much for loading a thing that I've clicked on. It's so exciting. Why click a thing once when you can click it 17 times and get the same result? It's fun, folks. Computers are fun. They almost even function in 2026. It's a delight. Thank you, Microslop. The CEO of Microslop wants you to stop factually calling Microslop Microslop. I mean, I've been calling it Microsloth since 2014. But anyway, here's your 72-hour GFS jet stream forecast. And you can see the jet stream it's not staying far enough. It's not coming far enough south. So Canada screwed us again by this time not sending enough cold, massive, dry air down. So thanks, Canada. Thanks, Canada. You suck at weather. I mean, chug a few moose heads and then walk into a snowbank, Canadians. Just walk back out again because we don't want you to freeze into a block of ice. That's just gross. All right, so let's show the precip moisture. And read them and weep, folks. Read them and weep. 24-hour positive snow depth change forecast is you're going to be like, oh, look at me. I'm a shovelman. What the f? I can't even look at the... Oh, my gosh. Are you serious? So I guess I can only start the forecast fucking 24 hours ahead now. Because reasons. It can't show the current portion of the forecast. It's 24 to 72 hours. So, okay, the GFS forecast it's now showing more like 10 inches in eastern PA. So, yeah, like I said, this jet stream interaction is still going to play in. So don't be surprised if you see forecasts that are way off during this event. But here's the part you really don't want to see if you like people not seeing disasters occur. Let's talk about precipitation type. So watch this freezing rainstorm play out, folks. Pink is freezing rain. I'm just going to let this play through. This is the Euro forecast. And look at the freezing rain making its way across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, why the fuck isn't it fucking advancing? All right, so this is midday Saturday. That's Saturday at 1500 Universal Time. And I mean, look at that. Look at all of that ice. That is that is an epic ice storm that's going to bring down trees, transmission lines, cause inability to drive or even walk places. So there's that. That is a shit show of epic proportions. Look at how much of the country is going to have freezing rain by Sunday morning. Most of North Carolina, half of South Carolina, most of Arkansas, a chunk of Tennessee. You see the goddamn map. Look at that. That is a shit show. Shit show. Shit show. Shit show alert. And then finally, at the tail end of this, early on Sunday, snow moves across the mid-Atlantic states, the Boston to D.C. corridor. By midday Sunday, the entire Boston to D.C. corridor will be covered with the white stuff. And let's look at around Sunday midnight. There's 2,300 on Sunday. Let's look at snow depth. So we're going to show the GFS and the Euro forecast for this. There we go. Snow depth. So by Sunday midnight, 6 inches here in eastern Pennsylvania. Huge amount of snow across Oklahoma, which is a shit show in itself. As if a bunch of ice isn't bad enough, there's going to be a bunch of snow there, 10 inches. So there's that. So that's the Euro forecast. Here's the GFS. Oh, I can't show the GFS forecast now because it doesn't handle snow depth. Perfect. Well, I can show the icon. There's the icon forecast, which shows even more snow for the Boston, D.C. corridor. So that is a shit show. Does the new snow map show ice? So when you show new snow, I think that only shows the last 24 hours. But yeah, that is going to be a mess. And then it continues into Monday, by the way. But it will slow down Sunday night. Oh, and it looks like it's melting by Monday. So anyway, yeah, the forecast is for like about a foot of snow here in eastern Pennsylvania. But the main problem is going to be the ice storms in the southern U.S. Them's the facts. And let's see, what else can we show here? We can show we'll show the temperatures. 72-hour GFS temperature forecast, if it's available. There it is. Hours 6 through 72. We are expecting cold temperatures through next week, by the way. So very cold temperatures. And that's what happens when you get cold ground and warm rain falling on the cold ground. That's the recipe for freezing rain. And I mean, like, there it is. It's Canadian air is making it cold, and then warm air coming in from the Pacific is bringing liquid water to the ground, and that's the way it plays out. So those are the facts. And this stream is about to end because I am in rest mode, because it's going to be a wreck. Because look, one man and one shovel can go a long way. And if you're like elite athlete level fit, then your shovel can go an even longer way. I got to have my buddy bring up my snowboard boots, bindings, and board because I'm going to be doing some backwoodsing on Monday, I suspect. I'm going to build a hit, and there'll probably be videos about it. We'll bring a tripod, and it'll be a delight. So let me, one last time here, we'll look at one more wavelength from the closest star. Let's look at 94 angstroms. This is good at showing flares, and flaring is pretty minimal right now, but we're going to show it anyway as a great background to put your comments back on the screen. So any last comments you've got, leave them now or forever hold your psst. But here they are. And what do we got? SV Thora Sailing 4868 says oblique. No, I said oblate. An oblate spheroid. Itchy Finger says, yes, like a coin, flat and round. No one ever said there was an edge, but there's an ice wall holding in the oceans. Oh, okay. Thanks for the objective science info there, Itchy Fingers. Pardon the biting sarcasm. Oh, okay. There's a documentary called 200 Proofs, which has been, by the way, debunked step by step. It's been debunked. And really, those 200 proofs are more like about 60 proofs, and they're all nonsense. Each one requires junior high level understanding of science to debunk in seconds without looking up anything. Oh, look up Flat Earth Dave. Hey, Itchy Fingers, why don't you create a YouTube channel and put up some content of your own instead of advancing a bunch of science illiterate doofuses on our channel? Why don't you try that? 2P or not P? That is the question. A good one, SV Thora Sailing. SV Thora Sailing asks, did Dan get married, Bruce? Sounds tired and irritable. I'm not tired. I am irritable because Earth is fucked. Fucked. And when the Earth is fucked along with the US economy, that fucking pisses me off. So, see, when I'm pissed off, what I do is I behave as if I'm pissed off because I am. So, if you don't like it, press unsubscribe, leave the stream, and go get bent on a cactus being eaten by a porcupine. I think it's the weather. He can't ride his bike like that. Well, I've got indoor riding available. I mean, I do virtual rides. I just did one. The day before yesterday, and it was the Escape from Alcatraz time trial, a triathlon event located in California. So it was actually kind of fun. Like most triathlon time trials are. But if you'd like to do the ride that I did just 2 days ago on Rouvy, that's Rouvy, the Czech organization, then do the Escape from Alcatraz time trial. I think it's like 23 kilometers or something. I don't know how much climbing. I rode slowly because there's a lot of things going on about my fitness that I'm not going to comment on this stream because it's complex. But needless to say, my fitness is not declining this winter. It's still advancing a lot. And it's bonkers. All right, let's see. Raining and cold leads to rants. I mean, the internet leads to rants, right? Like the internet is extremely, extremely infuriating because, like I said earlier, organizations like Microsoft and Google and Meta and Twitter are ruining information itself because people get their news from social media, and social media is full of shit. So many people that leave comments on our channel, and as a result of that, it's extremely infuriating. Although, if you would like to make fun of chemicals and lambaste them and get them deboosted over on Twitter, then join us over on Twitter. Twitter.com/Smashomash. We even have a chat group over there so we can compare notes about science illiterate imbeciles that don't understand how weather or planes work and can't forecast their own weather and think that contrails are made intentionally because they're stupid people that don't understand basic junior high level science. All right, what else do we have? Someone is always watching. Do you mean on YouTube? Bruce only believes in coffee. I tend to agree, but I also believe in Pepsi and all kinds of other nutritional products. Firestar Lord says, if an inanimate object causes you to be furious, you should not interact with it due to your lack of intelligence. Well, those are some words of wisdom, Firestar Lord. Thanks so much. Maybe I'll go subscribe to your channel because you sound so smart. I thought you liked comments, good or bad, because it boosts your algorithm. I mean, okay. Good to know, Barb. Let's check out Firestar Lord's channel. Oh, 23 subscribers and 12 videos. Why don't you put up some content, quote, bro, end quote. Anyway, it's time to end this stream. Thanks to everybody who's tuned into it. And congratulations once again on realizing the channel exists. Hopefully you're not in for a shit show, but if you are, make sure that you're one well-rested human with one non-destroyed shovel, and you'll probably be able to survive. Hopefully your lower back is doing well. Mine is just recovering. So I had red light on it this morning. Once again, don't forget to visit the links in the description, the homepage, press the share button, and so forth if you enjoy the content. If you don't enjoy the content, press unsubscribe and never come back, because that's on you. So anyway, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, coming at you from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, not the Shit Show News Network, no, the U.S. So that should be fun. for those of us who are actually prepared for it, and those who aren't get rescued by those of us who are. It'll be a delight. Oh, thanks for the comment. Da-XH5EJ. What are you? Jerry Parker says short-handled shovels are a lower back killer. I mean, I guess you just bend the legs, and if they're stacked like mine are, then it's you don't really bend your lower back, and you don't particularly use it. You use arms and shoulders and things like that. So anyway, hopefully you've got good form if you are going to be shoveling. We'll see you soon, maybe even later today with another stream, reaction video, shorts, etc. And until the next time we upload or stream something, may that solar wind be at your back. How about if I shut down your comments? Da XH5EJ. What are you, a bot?